Have you ever found yourself in a combo and thought, what am I supposed to do here? Welcome to my defense guide video in which I will explain everything that you need to know about the mechanics that can counter whatever is thrown at you in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. Before we get into the video, I must highly advise you to turn off everything except recovery assist in the accessibility options menu. I understand that you might not want to become a pro player, but guard assist will keep messing up your inputs. The game will force you to guard, meaning most of what I'm about to show you will be mistimed just because of this small setting. And on top of that, I was recording everything on standard control, so everything that you're gonna see is gonna be shown as if you were playing with standard controls. Starting off with the flashiest and probably one of the easiest defense mechanic, Sonic Sway. This mechanic is simple. All you need to do is to keep guarding and press triangle and circle while you're getting comboed, and you'll basically do the second flashiest counter in the game, which is only behind the very last counter mechanic that I'm gonna explain to you, which is an honorable mention. So yeah, nothing special, just press triangle and circle while you're guarding and you're getting meleeed. By the way, this just came to my mind while I was editing this video. Technically, weaving like this also counts as countering something. You keep pressing R1 while your opponent throws Ki Blast at you. Not gonna count this as a numbered counter mechanic, I just wanted to mention this just in case there's anyone who doesn't know how to do this. But let's get back to the actual terms. The second easiest counter mechanic in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is called Perception. All you need to do is to keep holding the circle button to block whatever is being thrown at you. This is a pretty versatile move, so I will need to break this down to 3 different parts. The first part, Perception, is free on rush attacks, basically melee combos where your opponent is just mashing square. Second part, Perception costs 1 bar because you used it on a smash attack, which in my mind is the same as like a heavy attack in other arena fighters. And the third part is Perception costing 2 bar because you used it against a beam attack. You can practice this by changing the CPU to Berther or anyone that got a beam, and if you're successful you will also get a little buff to compensate the fact that you just wasted 2 skill points to deflect the beam. I don't think this is worth, you're just being flashy if you do this. Another fairly easy counter mechanic in Sparking Zero is called Revenge Counter. This is basically a move that armors through whatever melee attack is getting thrown at you. You're basically saying my turn for a cost of a bit of health and 2 skill bar. All you need to do is to get hit and press R3. Simple as that. The level of difficulty is getting turned up. The next type of counter is called the Vanish, which as far as I know can also be called Z counter. Please correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. At the cost of a little bit of ki, yes, this time the defensive move doesn't cost a skill bar, but you will vanish right behind your opponent before getting hit, but do be careful because as long as your opponent has more skill point than you and the reflex of a god, he will just vanish right behind you and probably have the last hit. All you need to do is press R1 right before you get hit. The very last counter is called Super Counter, which used to be the hardest counter in Budokai Tenkaichi 3 and is still fairly hard to do in Sparking Zero. To do Super Counter, all you need to do is an almost frame perfect parry by tilting the left stick up and pressing square at the same time. This was the hardest move for me to pull off, and it's probably something that you can do if your opponent is lagging, but the way I recommend you all to practice this is to pay attention to the sound of the attack being thrown at you. Unless your opponent cancels their attack, you can easily super counter them, or like the last attack of a scare combo, or basically any type of melee combo as long as you know how it sounds. And as I have mentioned, there's gonna be an honorable mention. I have decided to include one more type of counter, which is literally just doing Perception against a Revenge Counter, since I know that some of you have seen an animation like this and were wondering how to do it. Yeah, this is just you predicting that your opponent will do a Revenge Counter and you do Perception beforehand. Just keep holding circle while your enemy is throwing a Revenge Counter at you. As long as you get 2 skill points, you'll get the upper hand. Before I show you guys how you can practice these counters, I just want to say that Super Counter and Vanish can both be called Z Counter as far as I know, but if I were you, I would probably just stick to Vanish and Super Counter, otherwise people will just get confused whenever you call the move as Z Counter. I don't know, I might be wrong, but I was told multiple answers for both terms, I just stick to what I have found. Those were all the counter mechanics in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. If you want to reliably practice them, then either find a friend and hop into a custom match, or just get into training mode and change how the CPU attacks you. For the Vanish training, I've had the CPU on smash attack and follow-up setting 1. He basically kept trying to smash me, and on the follow-up attack I just pressed R1. It's not as easy as it might seem. I dare you to vanish 2 times in a row after being attacked. To practice deflecting beams, have the game on defense strategy blasts and have Bertha as your opponent. Occasionally he might throw key blasts at you, but eventually he will start throwing beams. As for everything else, I just had the CPU on balanced strategy melee. Basically with this I practice perception on melee attacks, super countering melee attacks, pretty much everything else. The CPU here will also be a bit annoying sometimes, but this is as good as you can get for a practice partner without an actual human being on the other side. And with that, you know every single counter mechanic in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I've tried focusing on the important parts, so if you like this format of video, please let me know down in the comments what you wanna learn next. The other day I was playing with some of my friends from my own Discord server on voice chat. Make sure to check out that video as well. Hope you all have had a fantastic day, stay safe. Until next time, boys. Peace!